Hey, what's up, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. If you're watching on YouTube, you got no intro video, no intro anything tonight. Maybe just a brief moment because we're coming late. Look, everything is falling apart, Mel. We're here. We're here. Holy cow.
Hey, man, it happens on this show. That's part of the charm, man. That's part of it.
That's right. You know, we're getting better every week. We have really taken things to a new level. This is a C3 Podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Even though we take things to a new level, we love to remind you that we are just two jokers at this moment. And Joe's coming in hot, trying to figure out how to do a podcast. I tried to explain our show to someone. And I said, just started out as two guys trying to figure out how to make a YouTube video and then a podcast. And now we're like broadcasting a television show on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, right? Check us out. If you're watching, smash that like button, give the show a share. And this is where we come together every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. to chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions. We got a fantastic show tonight. Tonight's show is Practicing with Titans. We're going to be breaking down or looking back at training camp, but more importantly, looking forward to this week. Tomorrow, the Panthers start practicing with the Tennessee Titans and for the next 2 days. And then on Saturday, we have our second preseason game. On top of that, really important, half past the hour, Jourdan Rodrigue, the Charlotte Panthers beat writer for the Charlotte News and Observer, will join the show to talk about what she saw in training camp and what she will be looking for going into the second preseason game. So here we are, guys.
Big time, man. I'm excited about that. Big time. Good job getting her on the show, Professor. That's awesome.
Thank you. I'm excited. Joe, what's up, my man? Good to kind of see you down there.
Yeah, I am glad to be on Tuesday night, guys. I'm sorry I was running behind. Had to take care of some stuff with my son. It didn't get started too late, so I'm here. I'm excited to talk Panthers. Training camp's over, and we have a second up on Saturday. I am ready for that. I'm sorry about the no video on me. I'm wearing a wife beater. Well, that's not right. I guess they're called tank tops now. That didn't offend anyone. Everybody's so sensitive. So I'm wearing a tank top t-shirt. I haven't shaved all day, so I look rough. I'm saving you guys.
So we appreciate the no video there, then, Joe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, that's fantastic. But it's okay, Joe. You're saving the show because guess what? Everything just crashed, obviously, as I started up the show. I don't know why, but the Facebook stream isn't working. So I will get it up and working right here just momentarily, I hope. We'll see. If not, I guess we're just on YouTube, and we'll have to post it later as a video. But, hey, how's everybody doing? Mel, tell me what you're thinking about today with the Panthers while I fix this.
Well, first of all, if you're just out there, if you're watching on YouTube and you're not in the live chat, what's wrong with you? The guys and gals in there are animals, man. They're in there starting before the show, saying keep pounding and talking about different topics of the day. So jump into that live chat, get it going back and forth. And as Slim J513 says, keep pounding the like button. That is. So I agree. There you go. I like that. I like that. So we appreciate it. But you know what? The big news of today was Thomas Davis, who epitomizes the saying keep pounding, right? I mean, for a franchise that is all about keep pounding from Sam Mills and talking about really an approach and a way of life, no player other than Sam Mills personifies that more than the great number 58, Thomas Davis. And to have him get an extension that doesn't break the bank, it's not a stupid signing like the Jake Delhomme extension was back in the day. When you heard it, you knew that was just crazy. But being loyal to the right kind of person like Thomas Davis, I thought it was fantastic. A $6.75 million 1 year extension, gave him 2 more guaranteed this year, and then $3 million guaranteed next year. So if he does get hurt or his skills measurably diminished before the end of the year. If he's not back next year, we're not out the full contract. I think it was a great contract on both sides. And to hear him, you could tell it was a weight off his shoulders. Feels like, hey, the Panthers wanted to finish out his career here, and we do. To me, that was the big story of the day.
Well, that's good news. And I guess the bad news is that we're just not going to be on Facebook Live tonight. So, oh well. We got a ton of people.
Viewers who were on Facebook watching, please hop over to YouTube and check us out and join in the chat there. It's always a fun and interesting conversation going on in our YouTube chat. So please, if you can't do it over on Facebook, jump on over to YouTube. We would love to have you in there.
All right, so guys, look, we're here to talk about training camp first. Let's go back before we go forward. Guys, they wrap up training camp this past, what is today? Tuesday. So this would have been Sunday. I think they got out of there Sunday or Saturday, Sunday. They get out of there. You can go check out the kind of recap video I made on that. And I guess the highlights are this from so far what we know is our defense is pretty dang dominant. It's led by a core of linebackers who are the best in the league, with a defensive line that has some veterans on it, but that has this young presence in the middle. There are some budding stars in the secondary, not a lot of depth there. The offense may be better than we expected. Guys that are standing out on the offense, though, Damiere Byrd as well as Christian McCaffrey. Everybody's excited McCaffrey. He's lived up to the bill. He's everything as advertised, plus a bag of Doritos, right? So what I guess we got to be optimistic at this point. But again, some limitations on Cam Newton throwing, right? But nothing I don't think to be scared of yet. But still, it shows he's not 100. They're being delicate with him. So I think the Panthers had a good training camp. And as it concluded, I think I feel better than when it started.
Oh, no doubt about it. And it relatively a quiet camp, right? No season-ending injuries, nothing major. I mean, other than Dave Gettleman firing before training camp, which, we've been through that. And, some minor injuries here and some concerns with Cam's limited throwing. But like I said a few shows ago, I would rather him not play a single preseason game. Just strengthen that arm as much as you can and get ready for the season. He's got nothing to prove beforehand. And that the biggest injury we've had so far, the two things are Curtis Samuel, who was back at practice today, not full speed, but he was back there today, and then Vernon Butler, who's hopefully going to be back week 1. Those are the two concerns injury-wise right now.
Joey, YouTube chat, you'll like this. Scott Knapp, Jacksonville High School.
Former Michelangelo's employee. I've known him since like 4th grade.
That's awesome. He said, class of 92 representing.
That's right.
I like that. All right. So next question was this is from Nervash. Is Cam going to be out for the whole preseason? Oh gosh, I want to say no, but I mean, I would be okay with it.
I'd totally be okay with it. What I'm hearing is they're probably going to try, if everything goes as planned right now, try to get him in for a series of 2 against Jacksonville, not this coming week, but the following week. See how that goes.
Yeah, I can't imagine him playing yet.
And keep his throws like under 20 yards, 20 yards tops. You don't want him going out there firing deep.
Well, Well, if he's not ready to throw it deep, don't put him out there, because if the defense picks up on that, they're going to pin their ears back and become too predictable, and that's where you can get hurt. So if he's not ready to throw it downfield, Joe, I wouldn't put him out there at all.
Well, if he's only going to play 1 series.
That's true, too. Good point.
I mean, if he's playing a quarter, then, you're going to have to throw it deep. But if he's only in for a series, right, I think that's reasonable to keep it under 20. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to put limitations on him if there's no need to.
Right.
All right.
I don't know. He's the top concern. He's got to be ready for the season.
We're going to go as far as he takes us. That's the bottom line. Yep.
For sure.
Well, he can take us all the way to the Super Bowl. We've seen that before.
If healthy. Yep.
I was thinking today, when this season starts, and I know this is looking ahead a few weeks, we have got to be ready for San Francisco. They're opening their season at home against us. I want to win. You know.
If you don't win that game, you're in trouble.
Yeah, if you right. If you don't go into that game serious business, I'm talking as Panthers, and you go out there, you know you're the better team. And if you don't take this team serious, you go out there and lay an egg, man, there's going to be some really upset fans. And I think teams. So I'm saying that they need to go there ready for serious business. It's going to beat them like they know they should. And then, they'll have the precedent set like, hey, we're here. Better start paying attention. John Lynch wants to beat us.
Oh, yeah.
As his new position.
And you remember
from a Buccaneer, he's going to want to beat us badly.
No doubt. Now, what game last year would you say set the tone for the year? I mean, that's a rhetorical question. It was the Broncos, the first game.
Right.
This game is our chance to set the tone for a successful year. So you're right. That's the next most important game because it's the next one.
Yeah, you're right. I think Ron Rivera has mentioned that the Broncos game took so much out of the Panthers. I don't really I think it was kind of a little overblown of what it did to us. I know it was disappointing, but I think that, to me, it was that Vikings loss at home that really lost the war. You lose a war, and then that I think things started coming. The wheels started coming off the bus. The key is that it's not like if you lose your first game that you can't recover from that. That's not the point. Right. It's that it's critical for, I think, this team to get a little confidence. And who you lose to sometimes can be a problem. You go and lose to the Jets, and life isn't good. It just doesn't feel right. And I think that's where the 49ers are. But the 49ers, you got a team where the new coach is familiar with the Panthers. Like you said, there's this the John Lynch motivation. There's the 49ers, I'm sure, are not happy with people just talking crap about them all the time as like they're not going to win at all. So, I mean, I think that is, and it is the next game. I think there are some things to be thinking about, too, going into that game. John Gillespie, who is also in the C3 Fantasy Football Challenge, which we're excited that the selection show will be coming on Tuesday. I got the shirts.
It's the best show of the year, man. That is the best show of the year.
The Put It in the Bank shirts came in on Friday.
That is sweet, man. That is sweet.
I'll be mailing them out. He said this is.
Hey, Professor, what if somebody wants to buy that shirt? Just curious.
Okay, if anybody who would like to buy, if you would like to support the podcast, A, but B, get a cooler shirt that says, "Look, it's time to bring the Lombardi to Bank of America. Put that sucker in the bank." You can go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can hit the shop button. You click on T-shirts. And because you're a podcast listener, right, there's a special promo code that I'm giving out tonight. If you type in the word BIRD, that's my boy, BIRD, BYRD, the man, the myth, the legend, not the flappy thing, you will get 10% off. They're $18.99. They're fantastic. The highest quality shirt you can buy. We don't ever buy cheap shirts. Not that we ever bought a cheap shirt, but I'm telling you, I hate a cheap.
Yeah, I hate that too. We decided that 4 years ago. We said, man, if we're going to do T-shirts,
we're not going to sell 400 of them, right? So we might as well enjoy it. It's limited edition. Go get one of those. All right, John Gillespie said this. He said, anybody else got a feeling that we could have a top 3 defense? And I say yes. I actually think right now, if there is a way for the Panthers to stay healthy for a season, especially on defense, we may have the best Panthers defense ever.
So that's not just a yes. That's a hell yes.
Yeah.
I think they can. The key.
I think they can be number one in the league, to be honest.
If you stay healthy, this could be the best defense in the league. I mean, you look at what this defense did against the Texans last week, who nobody was expecting them to look that bad. And that front four, and we didn't even have Julius Peppers in there, guys.
Right.
And they were just in Tom Savage's shorts before he could turn it around. I mean, it was crazy. So, I mean, you put that with a healthy Julius Peppers out there too. Look out, man. And Bradbury coming on. Whew, it's going to be a scary type of defense, but they got to stay healthy. You know, paper's one thing.
It's about expectations. And the reason I say this is that the reason I think they can, is that this is the season of optimism, right? Where we all think we can be great. But look, the Panthers' defensive front has been pretty darn productive. And you're talking about, you're going back to 2 years ago where the Super Bowl season, you had Charles Johnson and who was his name? Not Jake Long. Who's the dude from Minnesota?
Rudolph in the Sunset?
Yeah.
Oh.
Somebody help me out.
He did the lasso thing every time he did a sack.
Yeah, and a huge
Jared Allen.
Jared Allen. Yeah, huge Hall of Fame player, but definitely had some, like I would say that Julius Peppers today is better than Jared Allen was that day.
Oh, no, not even close.
And then you got this great, I think Mario Addison is really coming into his own. I think that the defensive tackles, K1 Short, Star, and if Vernon Butler can get healthy, you got some you got some chops there. And now you got a linebacker core that's just relentless. And if these guys in the secondary keep playing like they're playing, I mean, I'm thinking this is our defense could be every bit of what it was in 2015. Mm-hmm. And in 2015, or Joey, was it 2015 or was it 2013 that we were sitting there going, our team could be like, we could be in the conversation of 85 Bears defense?
I think it was 13.
Was it?
Yeah, that's when Greg Hardy was there, I think.
I was when we led
Greg Hardy
sacks. We had like 60-something sacks that year, I think. 62 or 64, something like that. That was the year that Hardy had like 4 sacks against Matt Ryan and in Atlanta that year.
Yeah, we sacked him like 8 times in a game or something.
Yeah, in the game. It was ridiculous. We were so good. So good.
And I think this is that Adam Sanders is talking in the YouTube chat. He's saying we have the best defensive line in the league, and with Short, Star, Addison, and Peppers and Johnson. I think this is, I don't even count Charles. I know this is probably not right as a Panther fans, but like I don't even put Charles Johnson in the top as a starter in this defense.
I agree. I mean, when I think of our great defensive line, he's sort of like the last guy I'm thinking about.
He's not bad.
No, not because he's bad, but he's older, and the other guys we have are just really that good.
And, Charles Johnson on defense is the equivalent to me of Jonathan Stewart on offense. They're good, but if you rely on them solely, you're going to get burned.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good way to put it. All right, so let's keep going. Adam Sanders bringing a lot of good conversation in the YouTube chat tonight. He said this. He said he's not being a Debbie Downer, right? He's being realistic. He said, look, there are some injury concerns on this team, right? But I think here we got to balance a couple of things. Is that, and he listed this. He said, look, you got Cam Newton his shoulder, you got Charles Johnson with the back. You got Star and Ryan Khalil both rehabbing shoulders in off-season surgery, and you got Kuechly, who had his second major concussion. Now I want to temper that, and I agree because 2 weeks ago, before I got a little relief in the preseason game, I kind of felt the same way. Is that we're getting hit with all of these injuries. Corn Elder is out for the year. I did see Curtis Samuel might be given.
He's out for the year? I didn't hear that.
Not out for the year. Sorry, he's been out so far. That is thank you for correcting me.
Right.
But he
that
is.
Sounds way better.
But I will say this is that actually I am saying he is out for the year, and not because of his actual physical ability to play for the year, but a rookie who didn't get any training camp, a 5th-round pick. I don't see him contributing a ton to the team this year now.
Probably true.
And maybe I'm wrong completely, right? Maybe how about this? Wouldn't it be great if we didn't need to ever talk about him contributing to the team this year? That would be
great.
Good.
Let him marinate for a year.
And I think, and then I mean, if we need a rookie 5th round pick who didn't go to training camp that desperately, I'm not expecting us to go 12-4.
Right. Something went wrong.
Exactly. But I will say this is, Josh Dubrell said 6 to 8 weeks on Corn. I think, though, is that Vernon Butler with the knee. Again, but like Mel said at the beginning of the show, it's not, none of these are season-ending type injuries. They are pesky. They're troublesome. They could be problematic. You might see something, but good news here is Tyler Lawson, I believe, has played very well and gotten a ton of practice at center, right? You have a lot of depth at defensive tackle when it comes to the Vernon Butler, like we want him out there. And I don't really think that Luke Kuechly's injury is going to be I sure hope it's not something that's like habitual. I don't think it is. You never know, though, right? But, you hate for him to start playing scared. I don't think he will. So I feel pretty good, though. I feel in this. And let's move on to Cam then and his injury. Because Jourdan Rodrigue will be joining us in about 7 minutes to continue to talk about this. And we'll pick our brain about Tennessee a lot. Cam, he starts out throwing 5 straight days of practice. Then they take him off a week. There's this really cool... there was an article in the San Diego Tribune, and it was by this guy who was the former, he was the former medical physician for the San Diego Chargers. His name is Dr. Chow. And by the way, I almost got him, and I'm still going to be tracking him down. I've been in talks with him. I just missed him to get him on the podcast. He posted a story that said, no need to be alarmed about Cam Newton yet. And he was talking about, some of the worries that we are wondering, why isn't Cam throwing? He's taking a day off, then he's taking a couple of days off. And he said, look, ultimately, there's going to be some soreness when you're coming off of this type of injury. But the fact that he's out there and he's running different types of plays, even if he's not throwing, indicates the team hasn't totally shut him down. So to the point of, we have to be so delicate, you need to go in your room and rest. They're talking about some of the inflammation he was talking about, that, he might have gotten a cortisone shot, and they're going to tell him to take a day or two off before he starts throwing. He did say, though, if you don't start see him throwing a little bit soon, that could be a bad thing. But then we saw him throwing very lightly and gingerly. I would say, though, one of the things that he mentioned, though, is that when it comes to physical therapy, he said the adage, this is quote, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, can be loosely applied to rehab. And if you aren't pushing the limits of rehab to border on soreness, you aren't being aggressive enough. So, they're trying to figure, they're trying to find that complete sweet spot with Cam. But how much do you really need to learn?
Yeah, and you walk in the line. You got the face of your franchise. You push it too far, you set the whole franchise back. So there's a lot riding on what they do.
Yeah, he did say this. He said, look, here's the good news right here. He said soreness is normal after surgery. He went on to say this, is that there had been no, here's quote, no word of Newton having undergone another MRI is a good sign of no worry regarding structural damage. He likely saw his surgeon and had a cortisone or PRP injection to calm down inflammation, which mandates several days of rest. So, I think if you didn't see, we're not hearing a lot about Luck on the practice field running handoffs and things.
Right. He hasn't started throwing yet.
Right. Which, by the way, is one of the things I'm really pissed off about. Did you see my tweet that Luck is a higher ADP?
I know, right?
What in the heck? He's not even going to play. So stupid. I think Cam's ready to go. I think Cam could throw. I think they're just trying to. I think they got to take it. They're taking it very softly here. But you're talking about a time too. Is that if you go back and track down the timeline, guys? They said 12 weeks before he starts light throwing. 16 weeks before he was ready for camp. That was on March 30th. We're past that point. So I know they're always optimistic when they put out those timelines, but we need him to be healthy.
We do.
Okay. Christian McCaffrey. I think Christian McCaffrey though has been taking a little spotlight off of that. The guy is straight just dazzling everybody. Looked good in the preseason game. Let's talk about that for a moment. We didn't talk about the preseason game. Preseason game was 2 days after our last podcast. I missed the first quarter. I was watching it like on my phone, Twitter tweets, and trying to get a little bit on NFL.com. I was at Busch Gardens with my kids. But defense looked pretty good, huh?
Oh, defense looked amazing. The first string defense, man, we just straight put it on them. I think it was 2 out of the first 3 plays they knocked Tom Savage down on his back.
Yeah, and I would say that Kelvin Benjamin comes out there and catches a big touchdown. Funchess had a good practice afterwards, not in the preseason game, but the next week. Those guys are really seemingly getting back to getting where we wanted them to be. Joey, it was nice seeing Kelvin Benjamin go up there and attack that ball, wasn't it?
Oh man, that's what we've been wanting to see. I mean, that's the rookie Kelvin Benjamin we want to see again. He knew that ball. He knew if he went up, he could get that ball, but that defensive back had no chance, and that's exactly what he did. And let me tell you, that guy that was covering him, Joseph,
no slouch.
Yeah, he's no slouch. He got a big deal this offseason, didn't he?
He's a South Carolina product. Was a Gamecock, and is skilled, solid corner.
Yeah.
And he had no chance. Benjamin made it look easy. So
pretty
we
pass
definitely
too, wasn't it?
That.
Pretty pass. I mean, pass was right on the money.
Yeah, only Benjamin could get it. Otherwise, it would have been out of bounds.
It's like the one pass we see them throw in training camp over and over and over that everybody loves. How about this? Graham Gano missed his first kick.
Oh, God, no, you didn't.
God, yes, he did.
Team Butker.
God, Joe, did that what do you think about that?
About the miss by Gano?
Yeah, and then he barely made the second one.
Oh my God! I was pissed. Lindsay was here. That's my wife, and he missed, and then I started letting him have it. And she looked at me like I was crazy.
I know you've got little patience for
guys. That's why they did bring in this butt kicker, Butner.
Butt kicker. He is a butt kicker.
Brought him in.
That's a good name for the C3 fantasy football team.
All right, we're going to be joined shortly by Jourdan Rodrigue from the Charlotte News and Observer. This is C3 Podcast. You can check us out on CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You can find us. The conversation is live and happening. Remember, you can support the show by buying a Put It in the Bank t-shirt. Promo code BIRD gets you 10% off for listeners tonight. I think, but speaking of Bird, my boy flew. He flew high in this preseason game. And look, nothing to be surprised about. Dude had 4 catches, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. Everybody's saying this. He came into his own this year. He earned it. He did this last year, guys. He did it in camp.
He didn't do this. It's different this year, man. I'm telling you.
He had. I'm gonna go back and look it up. But what'd you guys see? Dusted that corner, dude. He ran that. And by the way, hauled that 50-yard pass in like it was easy peasy, my boy. Look, guys, we've got. Yeah. All right, guys, we've got Jourdan Rodrigue from the Charlotte Observer, host of her own podcast, 3 and Out with Jourdan Rodrigue. Thank you so much for joining our show tonight.
Hi, guys. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited and I'm honored that you would reach out to me. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
Welcome to the show.
Look, we've got everybody here read your work. Like, we follow your Twitter page. I'm so glad people don't follow my Twitter feed like we follow yours.
I don't know what that
just so closely. Like, I mean, like, we're refreshing, watching. We follow all your stuff, and you actually put out some fantastic things. And even on my boy Zeke Bigger recently, he went to ECU. I live in Greenville. That's my alma mater. So some really great pieces you put out this week, and we brought you or recently. This is your first camp with the Panthers, correct?
Yes, first camp with the Panthers. Not my first NFL camp, but definitely with the Panthers. It was a great experience. I kind of feel like that's how camp should be done. You go into a dorm and you clang around like, these guys are all out isolated together in this little bubble, and they have to really get to know each other. And it's just kind of – I used to go up with Arizona State to Camp Tontozona up in the mountains in Flagstaff when I covered college football. And it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. Just the weather was way worse, so it was really. It's a cool experience. It does a lot, I think, to bring a team together. And I'm sad to see that many NFL teams are kind of going away from that model. But I thought it was a great experience.
Was it the humidity that got to you?
Oh no, I'm saying in Arizona they get these crazy dust storms out there. The weather was
really?
Yeah, they get these crazy dust storms out in Arizona, so that it was always a little scary being up in the mountains, a little lightning all around you and everything. But here it was great. I heard a million times how lucky I was, and I thought
you guys did get a break this year. It's usually just miserable, but I felt like it was low 90s this year.
Well, I thought I was lucky anyway, because hell, I was out there covering football for a living, man. Like that.
Right, living the dream.
Yeah, so I have no complaints.
Hey, we're not above kissing up to our guests on the show here, but that's not what I'm doing. But I wanted to tell you, you got a lot of fans out there in our YouTube chat room. I mean, just a couple of quotes here. We love Jourdan. Jourdan rocks. Welcome to the show, Jourdan. So you got a lot of fans out there.
I'll pay those guys later. It's fine.
Yeah, there you go. Right on.
One guy said, John Gillespie says, got your donuts, Jourdan. I don't know which one.
Nice. I love that.
I mean, we got a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm telling you, the people that listen to this podcast, it's harder to find people that follow Carolina Panthers football more intensely, and so we always appreciate people that are on the ground covering it. So you're in Spartanburg, you're at your first camp, you enjoyed it. First of all, did any of the other reporters razz you at all? Like, you're the new kid on the block? Did they give you any hell or anything like that? Because I know Bill Voth is with the team now, so he probably walks around like he owns the place.
And have you met our boy Chris Jenkins? Chris Jenkins from Charlotte Vibes has been on the show a few times.
Yeah, I've seen Chris. I know Chris. He's a good guy. It's a great group of reporters. It's a lot of fun. I think that I definitely can hold my own in terms of not being treated like a rookie. So I think that was good. And then also, like, I can outrun all of them. So if there was any,
nice. Yeah.
Well,
you know what? I know one person who will take issue with that. Chris Jenkins.
Yes,
Chris Jenkins. He swears that he can beat, or he wants to race Ted Ginn Jr. in a 40.
Oh, that won't go well.
I know. He said, but he's pushing 40 now, I think Chris said, or something like that. Chris is an old track guy, but so you got youth on your side.
Even me, so.
Okay, so what did you see? All right, so what we saw is just from me watching what you guys covered and us trying to synthesize that, is that ultimately we saw that, look, this defense has got the chops. The secondary is really coming into its own, but there isn't a lot of experience there outside. I mean, at the corner position, or depth even. But I mean, if the starters are on the field, if they're playing like they're playing, this defense has the potential to be fantastic. Christian McCaffrey dazzled. The big guys are playing well. What kind of stood out to you just on the ground is what you got? What was the kind of pulse you got about this team from training camp?
Well, I think I definitely want to start with this defense because I said this when I was out there, and I'll stand by it. As it stands right now today, I truly feel that this defense specifically, not so much the offense quite yet, but the defense specifically, I think could play in the Super Bowl right now today if they had to. I think that
so.
This defense, I mean, and I don't know what I'm allowed to say on this podcast or not, but this is a badass defense. Like, these guys are going to tee off on people all season long. And the only thing is there is not a lot of depth at certain positions. They really need some depth at safety. They need a little bit more experience depth at corner. They definitely need to make sure that some of these guys keep their bodies healthy. Although I will say that, guys like Julius Peppers and Charles Johnson haven't gotten this far without keeping their bodies healthy and understanding how to do that. And Kirk Coleman and Mike Adams, I mean, they really do understand the process and how it works. But you just never know. The Panthers saw everything thrown at them injury-wise that could possibly happen last year. And so you really just never know what's going to happen when, some of these guys take the field. But I really think this defense is going to tee off on people. And I want to point out specifically, James Bradberry has turned into a really special player. I mean, you saw flashes of it last year. Obviously, that injury really frustrated him and hindered his progression, but he really took well to the learning curve of the league, and it's so important for a rookie to be able to do that. It technically it shouldn't have happened. He shouldn't have taken to the league.
It still shouldn't be happening. It still shouldn't. Right. I mean, if you look back at it, he's out of Samford. Nobody knew. I mean, when he got drafted, we all had to go. We're all Googling away. We're all reading everything we can. We're trying to find out, he used to be in the SEC, and then he wanted to start and all this. Nobody knew anything. And he comes into the league, into a team where it was completely in disarray in the secondary. They asked him to do crazy stuff. And what is amazing is that he is really growing into that so much. I mean, that's the story right there. Is it not? I mean, can there be a bigger story than a guy that nobody knew about being what I wrote about 2 weeks ago as being the most important player on the defense?
Yeah, it's really interesting when you see James Bradberry, because I like to say that he kind of has that Zen master X factor thing going on, because he should not have taken so well to all of the crap that he had to go through last year. I mean, the injury and quarterbacks staring him in the eyes and licking their chops and doing and all of these intimidation things and all of these receivers that he had to go against last year, and the trial by fire, as Captain Munnerlyn likes to call it, what he went through. He should not have taken to it so well, because he is a second-year cornerback. And those guys do take a little while to develop, and there's, especially when there's an injury that sidelines them. But James Bradberry, he never really let that get in his head. He's kind of got that weird Zen. He kind of just has this bubble of peace around him when he's playing. And I know that sounds weird to say, but watch him next time he's in a game. He kind of just has this, he just clicks. He clicks in. And it's something that really special players have that. You see it, when you watch guys like Tom Brady play quarterback, or when you see guys like, Devontae Freeman, or you see like Julio Jones, or guys, I'm sorry to name Falcons players. I know that's probably but when you see these guys that really, they get it, they understand exactly where they need to be.
Julius Peppers.
Although I haven't seen him in live action in a Panthers uniform in person, so I'm still waiting on that one. But
look, I think so zen that Joey thinks he takes plays off.
Oh, really? I mean, I know
Jourdan, one thing I think you're talking about is these players that you named in particular just don't get rattled.
They don't. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
They are comfortable with their positioning. They know what needs to be done. They're never in a situation where they're questioning, am I using the right technique? Where do I need to be? Am I lined up in the right place? They just don't get rattled.
Yeah, and it's not just and it's easy to and that's a great point. And it's easy to mix something like that up with having confidence. I mean, but it's the difference between a guy who is never going to want to be, to name a name, like Josh Norman, in terms of wanting to tell everyone that he's the. I mean, you never hear him do anything like that, like tell everyone he's the best. So there's a difference between that in the sense of confidence and in the sense of understanding exactly where his body needs to be and making it happen and having the spatial awareness and then kind of just getting back to the next play whenever it happens. I mean, he never celebrates. He talks a lot, but you never hear him. And it's just one of those, and he kind of reminds me a little bit of Luke Kuechly, just, not as Luke Kuechly-ish.
There's a difference. It's a fine line often, but it's a difference between self-confidence and arrogance.
Yeah.
And that
I don't ever see him being an arrogant guy.
When you believe in yourself, that's not arrogant. Now, speaking, turning the table, it seems like Christian McCaffrey has that gene in him too.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. The Panthers, when they saw what they had, and this is kind of this theory I have, so please excuse me for going off on a little tangent here, but when the Panthers saw what a guy like Luke Kuechly could provide in terms of the personality type and translating that over onto the field as well, they went after that specific personality type as well as the athletic talent. That's the kind of thing that James Bradberry has. He really does have that. That's the kind of thing that Christian McCaffrey has. It's that really going to blow people's minds with these amazing plays and that first step that Christian has. Human beings shouldn't be able to do that. But then he'll never talk about it. He just hands the ball off and goes about his business. And that's part of that preparation factor that's really impressing his teammates right now. It is not only is he putting extra time in, more time than even some of the tenured players in the film room right now. He has more to handle than any other rookie on the team because he's a full route tree and he has his own playbook for a running back. So, and he's still preparing himself in the way that a pro does. And that goes back to his family and his upbringing, I think. Right. But it's that personality type that the Panthers are plugging these guys in, this type of guy in all over the field. And it's kind of an interesting dynamic to watch.
Kurt Coleman, he seems to have that. A lot of these guys, you're right, and maybe there's something to that, and I don't know how you identify that, but it's definitely it's surfacing. Now, all right, so what we saw is this: we saw a great preseason. I would say we were uplifted by the preseason game. And I've been trying to. We're fans. We try to have fun here. We try not to be objective. That's our goal. So I mean, we're like Super Bowler, but I put a bet every year on the Panthers to win the Super Bowl. I do. I place a bet with Vegas, just like $10, nothing big, every year. But I've been trying to temper my expectations. But again, we come into the preseason game, and it's just uplifting. No Cam, and we look good on both sides of the ball. Did that help this team? Do you think that helped that team kind of get a little more confidence?
So, partially. I think part of it was seeing how connected and how organized and athletic and physical the first team defense was for those two series. I think that gave the team a lot of confidence because honestly, this defense is going to have to carry the offense a little bit. They are a little behind, and that's just a fact. They're going to have to carry.
Wow, I thought that Kelvin Benjamin and Devin Funchess are the. And I'm being sarcastic here, but like I feel like anytime we say anything halfway negative, all the writers are like, or Bill Voth is very defensive of his Kelvin Benjamin and Devin Funchess. But why do you say the offense is slightly behind? Just because no Cam? I mean, that's what I would say is that they're not out there. They're not all of them are there.
Yeah, I mean, Cam and Curtis Samuel, I think, you got to get those guys in there. And then Ryan Khalil, you got to get him full contact. That's a huge part of it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Middle linebacker of the offense. But I think to your previous point, the defense looking the way it did gave this team a lot of confidence. The other main thing that gave this team a lot of confidence was watching their offensive line look, and it was only 2 series, so we can't get carried away, but look.
But against a good team.
Defense. Number one defense last year.
Yes, and it was, again like those are the guys you need to be good against. And they looked really good. I mean, yes, Matt Khalil could probably help stuff run a little bit more, help open holes in the run a little bit more.
So could have Michael Orr, though. Michael Orr was a terrible run blocker.
But the cool thing was that, like, when I talked to Matt Khalil in the locker room afterward, he was like, Yeah, I already know what you're going to ask me about. I definitely need to work on my run blocking.
I missed 2 plays. He beat me twice. That's what he did, right? He beat me twice. Yeah. But it was also like it wasn't like he got beat by a schlub either. Right. You're talking about the best.
Get beat by, yeah. So I think it was.
And the first time he's even seen, and he mentioned this, the first time he's seen like real contact in over a year, it felt like. But here, look, we all believe this. Look, if Matt Khalil can be as good as Michael Orr was in 2015, we'll be fine. If he's better than that, fantastic. But you're right, is that, look, when no Cam Newton. Now, Curtis Samuel, I heard today, good news about him finally kind of getting out there a little bit more. It seems like maybe catching some stuff off the jugs machine. Where do you think he's at? I think everybody, look, I'm a Curtis Samuel dude. Like, I was like, that was my guy before, while everybody was gushing over McCaffrey in the draft. I was like, this is the dude, this is the guy. But at the same time, he can only bring so much in season 1. And now that he's missed this much time, I don't think he's like a game changer at this point. But where is he at, and what do you think he could do for this team?
Well, I do think we might see him in Jacksonville, and that's kind of when, that's kind of the end all of whether we're going to see some of these guys in the first week of the season is that Jacksonville game. I will say that while Curtis Samuel is not necessarily a game-changing piece, like you said, what they are missing from him is his ability to disguise a play.
Right.
So obviously having Curtis and Christian on the field at the same time, defenses have to specifically hone in on both of those guys. It's really hard to do, especially some of these defenses that are a little lackadaisical that they're going to see in the first few games of the season. So I think that Curtis Samuel not being out does take away a big part of the depth of the playbook that they're hoping to, some of these tweaks that Mike Shula wants to implement. It's not the end of the world that he's out, but it definitely is. They had a specific plan for him going in, so it definitely is a bit of a setback. But I don't think that, they have Damiere Byrd. He can step in as a burner, like their traditional burner, as traditional as a burner guy like that can be. So I don't think that they're too worried about it, but they are going to be a little bit behind. But it's fine because the defense is going to carry them through the first 2 games, so it's going to be all right.
Have you bought into Damiere Byrd yet? Because if you say no, I might just boot you off the podcast.
Oh no, I definitely think he's roster spot. I definitely think he's, and he paid his dues. They like the kid. First of all, he knows the playbook better. He paid his dues, and he still has that speed. He's got a set of hands. He's got the confidence. There's really no way he doesn't make this roster unless he gets hurt.
All right, listen to me on this. Go back. If you can go back, and I'm sure that the Charlotte Observer has better resources than I do to watch old stuff. Go back and watch the first year when he's undrafted. He comes out there, plays pretty well in the preseason, right? This last year, he was the buzz of camp. The one that you guys like to write about every day, that was Damiere Byrd. He goes out there and plays very well. He should have made it last year. I'm telling you, this guy is for real. And it may be that we have a partial affinity to him because he's been on the show a couple of times.
Nice.
He's awesome, dude.
Yeah, he's a nice kid. I really don't think he gets cut, though, this year. I think that especially with the delay with Curtis Samuel right now, and the way that they also want to work Curtis specifically in the slot and setting him in motion a lot too. I think that Damiere definitely now has a spot. With Ted Ginn Jr. on the team, he didn't really have a place. Yeah. Ted could also, do the punt return and all that. So now he has a little bit more of a niche that he can find as that vertical threat, especially when they're, doing these inside routes and these mid-range routes and kind of forcing defenses to come in a little closer. And then you throw Damiere Byrd out there, and all of a sudden, everyone's put in a blender. So I think that it's a pretty exciting option for them to have.
Yeah, I think with Ted Ginn, it was a little duplication of talent, and that's the problem. When you start looking at the guys on the bubble, is that it's not always about what they did. It's about other needs on the team and what you can get by with, and can he outplay a guy like Ted Ginn, and which he could have. I'm not going to say that. But, all right. So what we saw is, let's talk this, is that
I feel like you're just having a conversation with me. What about the rest of the guys on this podcast?
No, we're just happy listening.
Tell us this: are you in Tennessee?
I am. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
What are you guys going to be at practice tomorrow with the two teams?
Yeah, tomorrow and Thursday morning are the two practices from about 9 to about 11:30. Obviously, the game on Saturday.
What do you think that you can learn? What do you think the teams are going to try to learn from each other?
Well, I think this defensive line for Carolina is really looking forward to going against a super talented Titans offensive line. And it's also going to be great for the Panthers to kind of plan against Marcus Mariota, having a guy like, Jameis Winston in their division. So I think that it'll be really exciting for them to go against these guys. And they have a couple of multifaceted running backs as well. And they kind of have this complementary style of it's kind of what Carolina has been doing against itself. It's just they can now actually hit these guys. So
right.
it's kind of going to be, it's going to be good. I think they're really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward. I covered the Pac-12 when Mariota won the Heisman. So I'm really looking forward to being out there and kind of seeing where he's at. Obviously, it's not my job, but, kind of geek out over that kind of stuff. So
now, hey, the professor pointed out to me that they did lose to the Jets in their first preseason game. So their optimism has to be down a little bit. But you look at this Titans team. You look at this Titans team, and they look good on paper between Murray and I wanted Derrick Henry for us when we took Vernon Butler. I like Butler, but I wanted Henry at the time. He's a stud. And then you bring in Eric Decker, and you got that offensive line and another year under Mariota's belt. They could be a tough team to deal with.
Yeah, I think now it's been important for Tennessee to bring in targets for Mariota now that he's kind of gaining some confidence, and read a lot of stuff about where they feel like they're at this year. And it's kind of interesting. They kind of seem like very, very similar, like maybe looking into a mirror a little bit with the Carolina Panthers. So it's great practice for this defense, especially because we see so many teams that are using versatile and multifaceted guys in the NFC South. So the Titans are an example of this. They just don't have to worry about them, obviously, in the regular season. But so it's going to be a really good practice for them, I think.
So J-Rod, can you tell me about that is Vernon Butler, how he's looking right now? Do we expect to see him at all in these two coordinated combined practices, or see him at all on Saturday?
Who did you ask me about?
Vernon Butler.
Oh no, he won't be back for a couple weeks. He didn't tear anything. Yeah, I didn't tear anything. But he won't be back for a couple weeks in terms of getting back. We'll see him. He's present. We'll probably see him on the bike, working through stuff with trainers. But I really doubt he's ready to go before the first game. And you know what? He looked good in the practices that he had. He was in shape. He was, bringing it. So I think they will err on the side of caution with him, especially because, that's a lot of weight to put on a knee. So you really don't want to bring it back before it's ready.
Definitely, I agree with you there. And are you okay with J-Rod? Are you all right with J-Rod?
So everyone at my high school a long time ago all called me J-Rod, and I'm not sure how I feel about it getting brought back, but I love you guys, so I won't grimace or anything like that.
We'll test it out tonight, Joe. We'll see how it rolls.
Hey, Jourdan, before we do run out of time, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the Thomas Davis extension. Have you had a chance to talk to him at all to get any feedback on that deal, or what are your thoughts on it?
I haven't talked to him specifically yet. I think we're going to get to talk to him tomorrow. But they've been on a plane and I think celebrating. So yeah. I think that's probably a bad time to call. But I think it's a fair deal. I think it's a great deal. It's really, a lot of it is, it's fair because of his performance the last few years. I think that it is a really fair deal. And I think it makes Marty Hurney look good in a lot of different ways. It makes Marty look like a guy who's going to take care of his guys. It's really important in that locker room, but also a guy who is going to make a smart financial deal, because I do think that they would love to have a guy and could use a guy like Thomas around for the next 2 years. And I think that it was a smart financial deal, $3 million guaranteed and less guaranteed in that 2018 year, when they will be worried about a little bit more about the cap. So I think that all of that was really well executed.
So is it a 1-year deal for next year?
He's extended through 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. So based on when the league starts and when they can actually get their paychecks, he'll get $2 million guaranteed this year and $1 million guaranteed next year. But the $1 million will be what they work with against the cap. So basically he's doing great, and they don't have to really worry about him being a liability or anything.
I feel like that just gives him a super pay raise this year, really. It's just like, here, let's double your salary this year and see where we're at next year. Hope you're around.
Because he already signed a pretty big deal before.
Yeah.
Right.
Double your salary, and let's just keep going. All right, so a couple of YouTube questions for you is, one was, are you partying on, hold on, where did it go? Hollywood Boulevard or Hollywood Strip? Is that somewhere in Nashville, I guess? And then I guess the other was, have you heard anything about where the Panthers are trying to go with the GM situation?
I'll answer the second one. No, I think so.
Here's an important question though. You tweeted out that you were looking forward to that first beer that you were going to have after training camp. Right?
The first beer after training camp. It's like,
what beer was it? What What kind?
RJ Rocker's Son of a Peach.
Ooh,
that's a good brewery there in
it is.
Spartanburg.
Nice.
Yeah, I try to drink local wherever I'm at, so I thought that was really, really good. And
was it really your first beer? Come on now, I know you've been pounding some beers down there.
the first beer after training camp.
Okay.
It's
like
so
they
sweet.
blew the whistle and you popped the top and chugged it.
Yeah, I had it. They were just like, "All right, it's a wrap," and I was like, "Go, go, 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 go!"
Shotgun it. J-Rod's here. J-Rod's here.
In the house.
I don't think she's digging that one, guys.
If you guys' houses start shaking, it's only because of my eye roll that I just gave you.
Yeah, right.
And I screwed it up. It was Broadway. It was already partying on Broadway. I screwed it up. Whatever that. I don't even know what it means. Yet.
That's first on my list tomorrow night, though.
Nashville is a fun town. That is a good place.
Pretty cool. Yeah, it's cool so far. I had Martin's barbecue today. I had, oh gosh, I'm going to sound like such a pig. I had a dozen wings and a brisket burger. And oh my God, it was so good. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. You gotta fuel up. You know,
shotgun. J-Rod, J-Rod's in there. She's shotgun.
That's beer, impressive.
If you call me J-Rod one more time, I swear to God.
Man, she's gonna come through this podcast. All right, what are you gonna be watching out there tomorrow? What do you want to know about this team tomorrow with those practices?
I want to see how much offense they show Tennessee. First of all, I want to see Christian McCaffrey, where he lines up against some of these guys. I mean, like, the number one thing I'm watching is their offensive line against Carolina's defensive line. I think that's going to be very, very telling as to how talented either of the groups are. And I'm looking forward to seeing how these corners go against some of these mismatched targets. Eric Decker is still a little bit of a mismatched receiver. So I think that it'll definitely be interesting to see who takes him. I mean, and then some of these other guys, I think, will be, especially with their, DeMarco's, it can be a pass catching back and everything. So I think that it'll be interesting to see how they defend them. I want to see them go full speed. I doubt they will, but the selfish part of me wants to see that, because that's just more exciting. And I'm guessing there'll be a couple fights if that happens. So that's very selfish of me to hope that, but I think it would be fun.
I did see Mike Malarkey though he was on Periscope yesterday where they Tennessee Titans like blasted out his I guess right after their last practice, and he said that look, there was going to be no business after the whistle, that they sat down and talked with the players and that was important to them. But one of the things, though, I thought that was interesting is that the Jets' defensive line really manhandled the Titans' offensive line in that preseason game. And you're really looking at that Titans' offensive line being the strength of that team, their running attack being a strength. So I know they're going to try to reassert them. I don't expect we're going to learn too much about what the Panthers' defensive line can do against them. I would suspect this is that the Panthers shouldn't even play any of our real guys till the start of the season. We know what these dudes can do. Julius Peppers, we don't need K1 Short. These guys are there. What I think we can learn is about how the Panthers receivers match up against the secondary that's all brand new, and see if they can assert themselves. What do you think? Is Russell Shepard the guy that you like to follow? Who do you like to follow in that receiving corps?
Well, I think Russell Shepard is an extremely underrated talent, and I think that he was desperately needed in that room because not only his personality, but his kind of the way he asserts himself on routes. He's a separation specialist. He's really, really great, especially in these mid-range routes at just getting open. He kind of does and I think I've talked about this before at random times, but Greg Olsen does this thing where he's not the fastest guy on the field. He's, definitely not the most athletic guy on the field, but he does this. He just creates a wide window for Cam to get in the ball. Yeah. Russell Shepard does that same exact thing. He's just a little faster. A lot faster. Let's be real.
Yeah, thank you.
And so that fact, and then also the fact that even though the Panthers would be just fine if Russell Shepard was just a receiver for them, the fact that he also takes such pride in playing special teams, that personality type, that's like a real ornery personality type that room desperately was lacking. They didn't have a guy that was going to be, and I don't want to say the Steve Smith personality. I don't think we get that far with Russell, but that guy who's going to step in and assert his dominance over, a secondary. And I think that, we didn't see that very much from Kelvin. We definitely didn't see it from Devin. And that's a guy that they can really look up to as someone who's kind of bringing a little bit of swagger into that room.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome because, if you talk about we were talking so much at the beginning about personality types, and Jonathan Stewart's kind of chill, playing the piano over there in the corner, and you got these guys that are, Devin Funchess. This is where my suspicions about Devin Funchess all arose when he said his favorite food was salad, and I was like, they asked him last year or at his rookie training camp, like, what's your favorite food that you want to get? He said, I guess probably a salad. And I was like, oh man, this guy ain't gonna make it.
That's not even food.
It's like saying mayonnaise or something like that.
Yeah, it's like you're really scavenging if like a little rabbit out there. But you're right. I guess you need a multiplicity of personalities to balance each other in the huddle. How do you think does Shepard and Cam feed off of each other a little bit?
Yeah, they do. They already have a really great connection going, which is cool to see because he's the new guy and he comes in there with a certain personality type and you never know how well that's going to play in that room. But I think that Cam really respects him. He definitely likes throwing to him. We saw it before Cam was kind of limited the last 2 weeks of camp, but definitely they already have that connection going. They kind of bonded over their kids, which if you know Cam at all, that's definitely the way to bond with him. So it's one of those things where Russell went in there with the exact right mindset, and Cam, I think, saw that the kind of talent that he brings as an inside-outside guy who also loves to truck stick people on special teams. I think that Cam really appreciates having that personality in there.
Where are we at with Cam?
In life?
No, that's good. Yeah, like how's he doing as a father? No, like with his injury, I guess. I didn't really throw that question out well, but where are we at with him? You know, I mean, with the rehab in the shoulder. I think, look, we all thought we were very optimistic. He comes out there throwing 5 days straight. He probably pushed a little harder than necessary. But I think the fact that, look, is that we checked in with a story with Dr. Chan from San Diego Tribune that said, look, the fact that he's out there running plays, even if he isn't throwing, means the team hasn't shut him down. They could be just being cautious with him. I mean, do you think do you feel good? Are we going to see him in week 3? Or are we going to? How do you feel about his rehab? I think all signs are saying he's looking pretty darn well. He's throwing the ball pretty good. How do you think we are right now with Cam Newton and his shoulder?
Well, I think there was a lot of panic. I was kind of always in that camp where it was never time to panic, and it still isn't time to panic. And I think that they're playing it smart with him, because your rehabilitation process, especially in a joint that is used so much and has been used so much over the years, it's never going to be just a straight uphill. Right. It's a peaks and valleys type of thing. If he's feeling any type of soreness at all, and that's natural to feel that soreness in that shoulder as he's rehabbing. And I actually had the same surgery on my shoulder, and like, I'm not an NFL quarterback, obviously, but
close. You can run with them.
Missed it by that much, but no. But it's one of those things where even someone who doesn't do anything like me was still feeling. I was like, oh, I lift my pencil and my shoulder hurts. Oh no. And it's just one of those things where there's peaks and valleys to it. It's not just going to be a straight uphill shot post surgery, even though they did get in and clean everything out and repair everything. It's one of those things where when he is throwing, if he has any sort of soreness at all, even if it's natural muscle fatigue because he hasn't used it, they're going to take that precaution. So I never thought that there was a reason to panic over it. Having him out for 2 weeks does put them a little bit behind, like I said before, but at the same time, he's doing what he needs to do to get back out there on the field. Don't think we'll see him a lot this week. Ron kind of already alluded to that earlier as well, but I really don't think there's anything to worry about.
So with this type of injury, and you haven't gone through it yourself, what do you foresee week 7, 8, 9, 10? Is this something that the fatigue is going to become an issue, or are we going to see him not throwing throughout the week and then playing, kind of like Tom Brady has done in the past?
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised about that. And it's kind of, you also kind of see that type of mentality with a guy like Jonathan Stewart, who takes the vet days and everything. Cam's kind of at the point now in his career where his body's aged both like a running back and like a quarterback, where he doesn't like taking those days off, but it's kind of becoming a little bit more along that time to, force him to sit out 1 or 2 practices a week. And that's not a bad thing, and he's not going to like it, but it's just one of those things that you kind of just have to start trying to focus on the longevity of the arm that you have your franchise face. So I think that it wouldn't surprise me. And I don't know if I definitely can't speak to 7 weeks from now what kind of fatigue he's going to feel. It kind of depends on how he's building those muscles back up around that ligament. So if you have the world's greatest orthopedic rehabilitation specialists all around you, I can only imagine they're building it up well. But you just never know. The human body is so subjective. So, but I definitely wouldn't expect him to practice all through the week.
Cam Newton's body, human body, is barely human. It's super special. And if anybody can recover better than anybody, it's him. I mean, and I actually have this weird theory that if you look at him, I feel like his throwing motion is even better now. Like, I almost feel like the ball's got a little bit more, that weird, I think it's weird how the football kind of like arcs, like it's almost like it just does this weird arc in some ways, and it's just natural for the centrifugal force. Cam's ball has always kind of had this tailspin to it where it just kind of keeps continuing to fly. I swear, I think that this could be beneficial for his mechanics, and saying, hey, Cam, don't try to throw the ball through the person every time.
What are you on over there?
Thank you.
All right.
Save that clip And let's play that back each week.
Go back and watch it.
There?
Cam tries to throw the football through a piece of plywood every time.
No, I know. He notoriously has one of the strongest arms in the NFL. Who knows now what it's going to look like?
I have to show some touch.
I would think that he's going to go for precision a little more so than trying to rocket it to the moon at this point. But just the way you said it with the centrifugal force.
That is the term, isn't
That's
it?
why we call him the professor.
That's crazy.
That's
Hey,
the term.
Hey, we do have a segment that we would potentially like for you to stick around for that the professor will tell you about in just a minute. But one question that I think is on everybody's mind is, I think everybody has to know this, is can you outrun, outdrink, and out-eat Joe Person?
Oh, I can't put him on blast like that.
So that's a yes.
That's a
That's a yes.
That's a
I
yes.
don't know. I don't. It's like all the receivers, and they wouldn't tell you who the fastest guy was. But
So who's eating more wings in one city?
But I think each of us thinks that we could outrun, maybe not outrun, but outdrink and out eat the other. I think that we both think that.
No one can
How about
out-hair. No one
That
can
would make a
out-hair
great
jail
article.
him though. Okay, all right. So what the segment that and you can go ahead and dip out if you want. What we do at the end, we have a little celebration at the end of the show of where we a little homage to Steve Smith, and we drop an ice up pick of the week, and we tell somebody in the world something to ice up, to toughen up, to get it together. Everybody is fair game. We have done the 12-year-old kid in Oklahoma who Jerry Richardson sent a package to. He said he was trying to choose an NFL team, and Jerry Richardson sent him a handwritten note in a package with all these signed things and a helmet. And all he said was he was considering being a Panther fan. He got a nice up. So 12-year-olds are fair game. Everybody is fair game on the podcast. If you want to hang out, if not, go ahead and tell us where they can catch your work.
I think I need to see an example. I guess I don't really understand.
Okay. All right.
We will give you an example.
Mel, go ahead.
All right. So my ice up pick of the week, and this is just us telling somebody to toughen up, to get right.
Okay.
So ice up, son. So this week, I'm just calling out the NFL in general for the hypocrisy that, I mean, you look at this Ezekiel Elliott suspension. All right. So if he did what he's accused of, absolutely, he should be like Ray Rice, out of the league. There's no room for what is being said that he did. But my problem is this did not go through a court of law. This was separate from law. The NFL taking their own steps to make a decision to penalize somebody. And then at the same time, look at Joe Mixon in Cincinnati, where there's a videotape from the same time frame that this happened to Ezekiel Elliott. Joe Mixon is on video punching a girl, breaking her jaw, breaking her teeth. I mean, just brutal stuff. Not one word from the NFL about violating the policy, the whatever policy that they say that they broke. So I mean, that's just hypocrisy. Right. It's the personal conduct policy. So why is he targeting Ezekiel Elliott? Now, I don't have an affinity to where I want the Cowboys to shine, right? I'm not some Cowboys fan here, but you take a star player going into their second year, he's not charged with anything by the court of law, and they go in, and to me, it's like they want to make an example, and they're protecting themselves against future lawsuits where they say, you know what? We were tough on Ezekiel Elliott. He was a star. We suspended him 6 games. Yeah, well, what about Joe Mixon? So for that sheer hypocrisy, I'm saying Roger Goodell and the NFL, you need to ice up. Ice up, son.
My ice up pick this week goes to my ice up this week pick this week goes to this, and I've never iced up someone for talking trash to the Patriots before, but this one goes to the one Falcon fan who tried to create a meme that was fighting, you know, how everybody has done the 25-3 or 28-3, 25 point, you know, you see the guy wearing the jersey now. There's a Saints fan jersey floating around that said you blew 25 points. So like this one Falcons fan is trying to fight back that overwhelming force of junk talk that you just gotta accept. You just gotta accept it at this point. Like, I mean, it's not even funny anymore, and we still do it, you know, and we still laugh about it, right? So he tried to make a meme that said that the Patriots blew a perfect season. And it was like, you know, because they go 16-0, they go all the way to the Super Bowl, and they had it, and it was like 17-1 or something like that. It was like, when you blow a perfect season, I'm like, nice try, buddy. So to my ice up pick goes to Falcon fans. Sorry, you got to deal with it. It's just part of the legacy. I mean, it's just gonna continue to be just like a Browns fan. Like, we're always gonna put up that picture of those 5 guys walking to the stadium that had all different quarterback jerseys on. Like, it's just part of your story, bro. So to you, ice up.
Well done.
Ice up, Falcons.
I say the Falcons have to be in the lead in the history of this show as the most all-time iced up.
Every week. It's just like it's like running ice up.
Right on.
My pick this week, I try to stay away from political things on the show, mostly because my political views don't necessarily run symmetrically to those of Aaron and Tony. I'm a Trump supporter. I voted for Trump, but I'm icing him up this week because I think he really had a chance to make a statement that everyone could have agreed with, whatever your political affiliation may be. Everyone should agree with calling hate for what it is. Even if he was waiting to get facts straight as he tried to explain, there's nothing ever wrong with saying neo-Nazis and white supremacists are bad people. Even if he wasn't sure who did what first, that still doesn't change the fact that these groups are just bad for our country and bad people in general. These people seek to separate our country and make our country divided, and that's not what we're about. America was founded because people are equal, and there are so many places in the world that isn't the case. Here in the United States, we should treat everyone the same, and it's sad that the president was given such an opportunity to make a statement that would have hopefully brought many people together, and he just whiffed. He totally blew it. So, Mr. Trump, for missing an opportunity where you had an opportunity to really do something to unite the country and bring everybody together, ice up, son.
Jourdan, you want to jump in there?
I have one. It's
all right.
It might lighten the mood a little bit.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, we like to keep them fun.
So I like the guy, this person that I'm about to ice up. Great person, really, 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 I think a great football player. But my ice up son goes to Ted Ginn Jr. because he had an opportunity to kind of shake that reputation he has of that.
Nice.
Ted Ginn Jr. giveth, and then he taketh away.
Yes.
And he whiffed. So Ted Ginn Jr.
Nice.
Deep and wide open in the end zone, and Drew Brees is throwing you the ball.
Oh,
you better
man.
ice up, son.
Cupcake, too.
I love it.
Well
Love
done.
it.
Well done.
Love it.
All right.
Did I do it right?
Yes, you did it right, and you can even throw Mike Rimmers in there too. The boys are struggling on the other side. Jourdan Rodrigue, the Charlotte Observer. Thank you so much. You're gonna be, I guess, tweeting out everything from practice tomorrow, right?
Follow me on Twitter at Jourdan Rodrigue and read my stuff at thecharlotteobserver.com. Joe and I are both going to be out here busting our butts to get you guys some coverage. So thank you for having me. And
where can we find your podcast?
Oh, 3 and Out. Yeah, I tweet it out all the time. It's on iTunes. It's 3 and Out with Jourdan Rodrigue. It's on iTunes and on SoundCloud. So I tweet it out a lot, and you can search it and
right on.
Listen, because there's some fun guests on there. Usually try to get a player a week, and that's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Word up. Thank you so much. All right, guys, this is a C3 podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinion from the fan perspective. Joe, Mel, see you next week, bro.
All right. Thank you, Jourdan. It was awesome having you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
All right. Let me just close the broadcast somewhere.